Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
All right, we want to get to some breaking news right now. We are following a pursuit, a stolen vehicle pursuit right now. Just take a look at this. It is this white pickup truck that we are following. We don't have a lot of information, but we know this is in the Toluca Lake and West Covina area. It originally started out in Ontario as a carjacking suspect. As of right now, we don't know if there's more than one person inside the car or what else they may be wanted for, but now LASD, I believe, has taken over this patrol. And it's this white pickup truck that we see right now. And, you know, as you can see, there's a lot of people on the road, a lot of people commuting this Monday morning. So making it a little harder for this driver to get by. And we also have Dave Avila. He's a retired chopper pilot with LASD. And Dave, have you been paying attention to this? Are you watching this right now?
Yes, I am, Chris. Good morning. Yeah, it looks like this gentleman is going to, or female. We're not sure. My sources haven't verified whether it's a male or female driver, but it is a carjacking suspect. And of course, we know that vehicle was taken by force or fear. We're not sure if there was any injuries involved at this time.
Yeah.
But, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, you know, we're all learning this together. Definitely a breaking story, but, you know, making pretty good speed starting in Ontario, now in the San Gabriel Valley. And you could see just how fast this vehicle is going at this hour, especially with so many cars on the road, just weaving of traffic. Definitely, you know, a concern for drivers and commuters out there. You know, I've talked to you a lot, covering a lot of these pursuits at nighttime. When it comes to the daytime, obviously you could see, you know, a lot better what's going on. In situations like this, when you have so many people on the road, how different is it when it comes to, you know, the different law enforcement agencies and trying to get this person to pull over and you know, how their tactics are changed?
Yeah, and it all depends on the public safety. That's always the number one consider any department. You know, there's a lot of things. You know, every pursuit is monitored and evaluated. You know, like this one here, you're looking at does the dangers or the risk outweigh the need to continue the pursuit. In other words, it's like, is there an immediate risk to the public? Yeah, well, of course there isn't any pursuit. But if we can see, unlike some of the pursuits we've seen lately, we're not looking at super excessive speeds. This guy or gal is sitting off to the left, kind of staying away from the flow of traffic. It doesn't make it any less dangerous, but that's something that would be considered.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people who are watching this, they, you know, are driving down the freeway. They may not know exactly, you know, what's going on, especially if they don't see the police vehicles behind them, because the way this driver is driving is just like so many Angelenos that we see on the road that are crisscrossing through traffic. So hopefully people are paying attention, though, because that white truck is definitely going fast. My producer just said something. What'd you say, Marco? Oh, we're in the Baldwin Park area. So they're making pretty good distance in this area. Definitely going speeds up to 90 miles per hour for this, you know, four-door truck. That's pretty fast considering, you know, just how heavy and how big this vehicle is, and just a slight impact into another vehicle could be damaging and, you know, also cause a lot of injuries as well. And Dave, you know, watching this, obviously we look at, you know, doing spike strips and we look at, you know, trying to get them to pull over. But in situations like this, do they just have to kind of give this driver space and hopefully they decide to pull over? Because you don't see them following too close behind them. You see them by air, but that's about it.
Yeah, you know, that's all part of that de-escalation thing that we heard about before, and we still hear about. You know, we can't imagine what this driver is thinking right now. They know they're going for a felony. Whether or not they injured the victim, we're not sure. But you know, first thing you're going to try and do is, of course, hit it with the lights. You take off, you go in pursuit. It gets wild, you back off. LAPD goes into a tracking mode. Sheriffs have theirs. So every department is different. But as we could see in this one here, and it's staying to the big road, so whether or not we see the chippies get involved, so you're going to have different agencies working together on this. But yeah, they're going to sit back a little bit until it just becomes out of hand. And you're right, Chris. Just yesterday, I was westbound on the 10 freeway. I had 3 cars go by me that I'm surprised they didn't spin my vehicle around. They were so fast.
Oh, I know. It's definitely what we see on the streets, and you know, hopefully this person will pull over soon. I mean, the fact that they're going nearly 90 plus miles per hour on this freeway when a lot of people are commuting, going to work, definitely dangerous conditions right there. And, you got to also wonder with the price of gas, hopefully this driver did not fill up all the way and they run out of gas, because this person is making some good distance coming from Ontario, from the IE, making their way to Baldwin Park in that area. And looks like the freeway is clearing up quite a bit in this area. So you can see the black and whites, LASD, gaining a little bit more traction, getting a little closer. And, the closer they get, as you've talked about in the past, Dave, they're able to, kind of have a better idea of what may be going on in the vehicle, whether or not the driver seems to be impaired or has a weapon, because those are all factors that are taken into place when making the actual pullover or arrest, or how they decide to handle the de-escalation of this.
Yeah, exactly. You can see that they decided to get right back on this to re-engage. So, and a lot of it, it's like we said before, it's the initiating officer or deputy that's going to call the shots until the supervisor gets involved in it. And with the sheriff, it's their unit commander. So it looks to me, and what I'm hearing is that, they decided, hey, let's just get back in this pursuit. It's gone to that point to where it is an immediate risk to the public. It was before, but now we've got to do something to try and stop this guy. And you mentioned it. This is a heavy vehicle. Your average vehicle is 3,000 pounds, something like that. This may be around there, 4,000 pounds. What he has in the back, we don't know, but it looks like it's one of those heavy-duty trucks that, it's a pretty good-sized vehicle. And then at 90 miles per hour, certainly it'll cause some damage to some poor innocent people out there.
Yeah, it's amazing that, this vehicle is able to go this fast on the freeways right now, considering it is a Monday, and usually the roads are pretty busy, but right now it's not looking too bad. And we know this started in Ontario. Ontario police gave it over to LASD, and I thought it was pretty interesting when we follow pursuits like this. When it comes from tracking from the air, you had Ontario police tracking, and then they handed it over to LASD. Talk to people a little bit about just when they're transitioning from one law enforcement agency to another, just how you have to be very careful to make sure that you don't get in each other's, air and their airspace, and it can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, as far as the ground goes, it's mutual aid. Everybody has each other's frequencies. They have a downlink that they can use to transfer information. As far as the air units go, it's a big deal when you're talking about switching over. Let's say if Ontario, I don't think Ontario air unit was over it, but let's say if they were, and then the sheriffs come up overhead, they'll stay high and wide, get to exchange the information, wait for Ontario's air unit to pull out, and they'll visually make sure that they are out of the area, and then they'll announce it. Now they're going to descend on.
Okay, it looks like he's getting off. He's in the Alhambra area, and it looks like he's getting off on a surface level. And this is always very dangerous to see, Dave. You might be a few seconds delayed, but he just exited the freeway, and if he goes right here, he's going onto the surface street. So now he's going with everyday people who are schools, restaurants, what have you. This is the Baldwin Park area, and we saw how dangerous this driver was going on the freeways, and he's doing the exact same thing, crisscrossing through traffic, and it's definitely very frightening. I mean, there we go, going through the middle lane, going on to oncoming traffic. It's almost 11:19. He's about to turn right here. I mean, this is dangerous driving. This guy is going way too fast. Obviously, if you're in this area and you see something like this, something's not right. And, as you could see, it looks like the black and whites have pulled back a little bit, because there's a lot more people in this area, a lot of pedestrians out there, a lot of drivers, and they really need to be careful, because if this guy continues driving like this, that could be the recipe for something bad to happen.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing now is they're just going to try that de-escalation thing one more time. They're going to go back and go into surveillance mode, as they put it, and just see if they can get this suspect to slow down some. But you could see the desperation. It was huge on the freeway, but now it's even worse, because he stuck to his own lane. He didn't interfere with any other traffic. But look at the desperation now, going through red lights, slamming through right through stop signs. So yeah, eventually they're going to get Baldwin Park or Monterey Park PDs on this thing. But until then,
yeah,
I'm not sure for sure. Oh, go ahead.
The desperation is there. I mean, it makes you wonder what's going on to the psyche of this person. And, maybe if they think that the quicker and faster they drive, oh, that could have been close right there. Luckily, that driver was paying attention. But it makes you wonder if they think that they really are going to get away. But, Dave, we've seen a lot of these chopper shots, and it looks like we just lost it. It's going back and forth. But we've seen a lot of these pursuits where the driver does get away. And part of the reason why they get away is because there's just way too many people out there on the road, and it becomes too dangerous. Ooh, okay, this is a very busy intersection. But obviously, it looks like the driver is slowing down a little bit when it comes to these big intersections, which could be good, but at the same time, no intentions of stopping. He just passed by a black and white there and just kept going. So, I mean, this person knows that the pursuit is still out there, and as you mentioned, the desperation is still there, and who knows what's going on in this person's head. And Dave, you kind of talked about this before, dealing with so many pursuits throughout your career. When these drivers are out there and they're trying to get away, is it a fight or flight type of response that they're going for, or are they, sometimes calling their family or loved ones? What's usually going on with the psyche of the drivers?
Well, I can tell just from the suspects that we've taken into custody over the years, and this was a while back, and that's just, number one, they're trying to get hold of their family and just get that last word in. Or in some cases, which we've seen here recently, is they're calling what we would refer to as a friendly, somebody that they know. And they'll try to get in the area of that individual so this way they can dump the vehicle and just take off on foot. But, like you mentioned, I still haven't gotten any confirmation on what type of carjacking this was, meaning force or fear. So, are we going to do a pit maneuver? Yeah, they'll probably try and get one in, but we don't know if the suspect has a gun. And you called it earlier, Chris, with that blacked out window. There could be additional suspects back there. They could have committed another crime. And, the other thing could be this suspect could be a one-striker, a two-striker, knowing they're going away for a very, very long time.
Right.
So, there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, Dave, we saw a white Suburban that was following this suspect, and it appeared that there were flashers inside there. The bottom of the screen, you see right behind the black and white. Probably in a couple seconds, you'll see that. Tell me, when you're seeing that, are those people, are they just undercover cops who are just out and about, or are they a special part of pursuits? Because I haven't seen that before, but I usually cover pursuits at nighttime, so this is kind of new for me.
Yeah. Now, usually the rule is that an unmarked vehicle will not go in pursuit. So this may be police orientated. I'm not real sure, but I don't think they were doing a full-blown pursuit. Now, different agencies, different rules. So that may be it. But if you notice, once that black and white got back in it, that SUV stayed right on their tail.
Look at this. Oh, that's a big Huey. Or no. Okay, so it basically just made a last-minute ditch effort. Does it look like he's going to go back onto the freeway? It looks like he's on a Vantage Road right now. But going pretty fast, Dave, and I'm hoping this person runs out of gas soon because, those trucks are gas guzzlers. But I guess we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, as you can see right here, we are looking at a pursuit involving a carjacking suspect. Not exactly sure where this pursuit, what the details are of that carjacking. We don't know if weapons are involved. We don't know if this person's under the influence, if there's other suspects, potentially victims inside that truck. As we just mentioned, very dark windows, very strong tint, so makes it a little hard to see. But you can see the black and whites kind of creeping up on his tail. A little more now than we have seen in the past, probably because there's more open space than there was back on other freeways and also when he was on the regular roads. But this driver just going by so fast, and hopefully they pull over, and we'll just have to keep monitoring this and seeing what's going on. At this point, we have not seen them try to do any kind of pit maneuver or any kind of spike strips, but obviously, they haven't had the right opportunity to do it. The fact that this driver has been able to go from Ontario all the way to the San Gabriel Valley up over in the Baldwin Park area, definitely making some pretty good distance and flying, going pretty fast. At one point, we saw this driver going speeds up to 90 plus miles per hour. So no intentions of stopping. You know, one of the things that we talked about was de-escalation and the driver, you know, trying to get away, fear of flight, and that driver just kept going. And you know, the police they pulled back a little bit to, you know, probably make sure that nothing bad were to happen. But as you see right now, the law enforcement agencies are creeping up. So this guy knows that he's being pursued, knows that police are on his tail, and now it's just a matter of time to see what will happen. But if you're looking on the right-hand side of your screen, this is when the driver was in the very busy area where the traffic was a lot of cars in that area, and it was weaving in and out of the lanes right there at certain times, going to speeds up to 90 miles per hour, which is just ridiculous. And now, thankfully, on the left-hand side of the screen, not as many people. Well, we want to let our CBS 2 News viewers know that we are switching over, so we'll go back to regular programming on CBS, but we'll continue this pursuit on KCAL 9 News right now. Also, if you have a computer or phone, CBS News Los Angeles, so we will see you all over there.
And we are continuing to follow breaking news here on KCAL 9. We are coming on the air early to show you this pursuit. What we have learned is that this is a carjacking suspect that is leading police on this pursuit in this four-door white pickup truck now. Joining us on the air is Dave Avila, who's been following this with my colleague Chris Holmstrom on our sister station CBS 2. But we've been watching as this driver is now on surface streets. But earlier, soon after this began, that suspect really doing a lot of zigzagging on the freeways, and now we see at another intersection here, and just continuing to avoid police officers and refusing to stop. We are watching as this driver continues to make his way on these surface streets, which of course we know is so dangerous because people just don't know that this car is coming so fast around the corner. They're not expecting it, and so it can be so dangerous for anyone who is out there on the streets, whether they are walking or driving. They are unaware that a truck might be coming this fast up behind them, to the side of them, making a bad turn, running through a stop sign, as we're seeing right there. This driver just refusing to stop. Again, this is a carjacking suspect, and this began about 30 minutes ago, before 11 o'clock. And this driver just will not stop for officers, has been on the freeway going at high rates of speed, and continues now to keep these cruisers behind it, chasing it. The car has been going at high rates of speed, and we're watching another dangerous turn here as this driver makes his way back onto another freeway here. And at this hour, there is not a lot of traffic out there, but certainly nothing seems to be slowing this driver down as they continue to make their way along the freeway. We are waiting for information about exactly which freeway this is and the location. Okay, I'm hearing it is the southbound 5 at this time. And we do know that Dave Avila will be joining us shortly here. But again, this driver going extremely fast. Again, we do have Dave Avila on the phone with us. Dave, I know you've been watching this for a while, and we see again this driver getting on the freeway on the southbound 5. And earlier when this driver was on the freeway, really a lot of zigzagging through cars, so dangerous. Dave, you've been watching this for a while. This has really been a dangerous pursuit.
Yeah, it all started in the contact center started in Ontario with the carjacking. The one thing, Amy, I haven't been able to verify is that if it was, carjacking is force or fear. So whether it was force or fear and or both, we don't know yet, or at least I don't. But yeah, this suspect has been pretty much staying on the freeways, which I would rather see in any pursuit, because we did get off on the streets, and he was going right, or she was going right through stop signs, red lights, wrong side of the road. The desperation has increased somewhat. It They did slow down a while, but then they started up again. So the police decided, okay, we're going to re-engage again in this pursuit because it's now an immediate risk to the public.
Well, Dave, we often talk about it being better that the pursuit is on the freeway because it's not as dangerous. But the way this driver has been going with all the zigzagging between traffic, it has been very dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, I have some friends that were rear-ended from a pursuit suspect, and they are still paying the price for that. They're still still injured, and it is really bad. This is a heavy-duty truck here. This was like the heavy-duty, I would say anywhere, probably around 4,000 pounds, something like that. But coming up on you, now we're back on the streets again, and the desperation's there, just kind of zigzagging all over. There's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, and when they go through those intersections, I just always worry people are unaware that this truck is coming. It's coming at a high rate of speed. It's not stopping at stop signs. The turns are very erratic and going at high rates of speed when you aren't expecting someone to be coming down the street that fast. And it can be so dangerous. Coming up to another intersection, we do see traffic, but this driver just makes that turn, cutting off that one driver. As you mentioned, Dave, I mean, just the desperation for this driver to get away.
Yeah, exactly. You could see it. So, I mean, we don't know if the suspect's two-striker looking at 3, or 1 looking at 2. So, yeah, that is really increased. On the freeway, they got up to 100 miles per hour, 98, 99 miles per hour. I mean, it was just insane. And you're right, Amy. I mean, I don't care what speed. You get hit by this thing, slow or fast, it is going to cause injuries.
Exactly. And Dave, as you were mentioning, we don't know at what means this person took this truck, whether it was by force or by, I guess, fear. But this person could be armed with a weapon.
Yeah, definitely. With the blacked out windows, the 4-door, you know, are there additional suspects back there? Are the suspects armed? Was it a gunpoint takeover? We don't know, but we have to use extreme caution on every type of pursuit, but especially something like this where you know it was a 215 or rather a carjack suspect.
It's getting really close to those trucks there, Dave. There's a lot of trucks pulled over on the side there, and it looked like he was getting a little squeezed out there. Now going around on the wrong side of the road to get away from those trucks. And coming up to another intersection here, we do know that this pursuit is now in Commerce. Again, if you were just joining us, this has been going on for more than 30 minutes at this point. This is a carjacking suspect that is refusing to stop for officers. We're watching as this driver is on the wrong side of the road in that 4-door white pickup truck. Joining me on the phone is Dave Avila. And Dave, you were talking about this being a tough truck to stop as well. Because it is about 4,000 pounds. So does that make it a little more difficult for officers who might want to try a pit maneuver or even spike strips?
No, I mean, the spike strips would be tough because of he's not sticking like we've seen before, Amy, where they stick to a certain area because they're familiar with it. You know they are. But this one here, this suspect has been on the freeway, off the freeway, so we don't know. As far as a pit maneuver, no, they could still negotiate a pit maneuver, but there's always that concern. You know, when you negotiate that pit maneuver, it always looks so smooth, but it's extremely dangerous because it puts you right up against a suspect. And if they want to get away and they got a weapon, yeah, it may turn into a really bad situation. Especially
when you see this desperation that this person has to get away at this point. Certainly looks like this driver picking up some speed and really just reckless at times around those curves and not stopping at stop signs. So this is certainly someone who is desperate to get away.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, earlier we were talking about different departments being involved, Ontario, LA County Sheriffs, maybe Baldwin Park, whomever. But, and I mentioned before, it's always in a perfect world, you'd love to have your own department involved. And that's pretty much just because of post-pursuit management. Everybody's playing out the same rule book. But, however, I do know that in a pursuit, I don't care the color of the uniform, the shape of the badge. I just want some backups there. especially with this guy. So although we can't see the black and whites, they're talking to each other, communicating. They're in the vicinity. But as you can see, a lot of the concern here is the citizen. It's all about citizen safety, of course. But you can see if we were to pit this guy right here or gal right here, and they come out with the weapon, there's citizens all over the place.
Absolutely, absolutely, and certainly dangerous no matter how you size it up here. And this driver certainly not slowing down and just continues to go. And again, we see, you know, those quick lane changes. And as you were mentioning, we cannot see those cruisers behind it, but we do know that they are there. We're just keeping a close shot on the pickup truck so we can see exactly what's happening with this driver. And it looks as though they have pulled into a parking lot of some sort. And this, of course, Dave, can be very dangerous as well. But we can see how close that cruiser is now on that truck. Yeah,
exactly. And, you know, he'd been on Atlantic Boulevard before. He was on Atlantic there. So it's almost as though he's starting to getting familiar with the area, but not real sure. You know, just these are big wide streets, so he's just going to go in. But that pulled into that parking lot. That was kind of dangerous. I was hoping he didn't get stuck there, especially with a bunch of stores and citizens all around. So now we're back on the road again.
Yes, yes. And this roadway here, I just saw a 40-mile-per-hour look like marking there, but this truck going very fast through another intersection, really pulling away from those cruisers behind. I'm guessing they're backing off a little bit to see if it will in fact get this driver to slow down a bit. But again, through another intersection, I mean, the advantage here is that we do not have a lot of traffic at this hour, just creeping up at about 11:40 now. And now on the wrong side of the road, this is always so dangerous. People unaware that this truck is coming at a high rate of speed in the wrong direction. But now back on the right side, we see that cruiser again, but the truck just seems to be pulling away from the cruisers there. Yeah,
you can see they punched it there. You know, one technique I used to do, and this was just, it wasn't something that was taught, let's say, is that when I was flying, we would just get up ahead. And if it was a busy intersection, we would do tight orbits and hit the siren. That siren's extremely loud. And what's the first thing you do when you hear a siren, whether it's coming from the air or the ground, is you sit up and your head turns into a swivel and you start looking around for people. That's why I like to see these black and whites on this suspect. It's warning people. Still, they'll say it doesn't, but it does warn people up ahead that something's occurring very close. It's coming your way.
Exactly, which is great. We see a little more traffic now on the roadway, and this driver was on the shoulder at one point and just really continues to zigzag between trucks and cars, anything that they need to do to keep moving and to continue to get away from the officers. But we do see that black and white is right there. And this driver just doing whatever it takes to get away at this point, on the shoulder, zigzagging. And we've seen this driver go on the wrong side of the road. Doesn't seem like they have a real plan, but we do see that traffic is starting to bunch up here. And this car, you know, you imagine that driver is slowing down because they hear the lights and siren behind them, and they were starting to bunch that truck in a little bit. So again, wide open roadway now, again, from this vantage point, but that cruiser is very close on the tail of this white four-door pickup truck that they've been chasing for about 45 minutes or so. This, again, carjacking suspect that they are trying to get to pull over. We don't know at this point if this was by force or fear, but again, this person has taken a truck from someone and is refusing to stop for officers, Dave.
Yeah, the bad thing is, too, Amy, is we're all familiar with these freeways, and the I-5 heading for the 605 interchange, it's always kind of crowded there. And then heading down towards Norwalk, that's where you see a lot of suspects. Now, the black and white is staying right on them. I love that because I think they should. That's just my own opinion. I like to see that with other departments. And what that does is tell people, hey, take a look in your rearview mirror. There's something coming your way. One thing I do mention, and this is my own personal thing, looking at it from the air, being in a pursuit, driving a black and white in pursuit, and being everyday citizen, is what I do is I just tell my people, just say, just hold on to the steering wheel, maintain your speed, and stay there. I know you're supposed to go to the right, but when you got somebody like this that comes up and will swing around you so fast, it's kind of like, just let them get away from you.
Exactly. Stay out of the way. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to get them to stop.
God,
Don't try to get involved. Just stay in your lane.
We've seen it with a big rig. We've seen it with other cars and pickup trucks try to stop, but just stay away. It is so dangerous, these pursuits, and we don't know if they have a weapon with them. We don't know if there's multiple suspects. The desperation is obviously it's there.
Yes.
It's something we have to be concerned about.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of traffic here on the freeway here. We see the driver just kind of zigzagging, trying to avoid getting stuck behind any car for too long. But those lane changes, so abrupt, are certainly dangerous for people who are not expecting them, not really sure what's going on. Because when you're out there on the roadway, you're not expecting a pursuit. Even if you drive in LA, you don't think you're going to be in the area of the pursuit. So when it comes up behind you, it can be a little startling to be there as this car is trying to pass by, and the cops are there, right there on the tail, and you see all the lights and hear the sirens. It can be a little intimidating, and so you do want to panic and pull over.
Yeah, exactly. And it just we're just seeing so many different techniques being in place now. Years ago, they didn't have the spike strip. They didn't have surveillance. They didn't have tracking, pit maneuver. And now they have, it's progressed so much. It's actually, like I mentioned before, every pursuit is monitored, evaluated. There's always somebody looking to how can we increase the safety of the citizens? How can we get the suspect into custody a lot quicker without endangering the suspect? And this is all part of it. It's so bad to watch this pursuit just go on and on. But right now, nobody's getting hurt. And that's the number one right there.
That is the number one. And stopping a driver on the freeway like this is just really impossible with spike strips, and certainly no really real measures to get them to stop on the freeway.
Yeah, it's we're continuing southbound on the 5 freeway. This thing started out in Whittier, as far as I know, and it's continued all the way out west, south, and then now we're heading southwest on the 5 freeway. So I don't know, maybe to see if they decide they're going to try and take the 605 north to get back to Ontario. Not sure. The thing is, you got the air unit overhead. So the air unit, what they're doing is that TFD, Tactical Flight Deputy, what he or she is doing is they're broadcasting to the units what's up ahead. You got traffic slowing down, wide open. The northbound 605 is bumper to bumper, just for info, just to give them a word picture of what's up ahead.
Exactly, and just the danger. I know that it is best for these pursuits to be on the freeway because it is less dangerous, but it is still a dangerous situation. This driver not going as fast as you saw a little earlier, Dave, when you said that the driver was going about 100 miles an hour. It appears that the driver has slowed down considerably, and we are thankful for that because, of course, it makes it a little less dangerous, but certainly the danger is there as this driver continues to change lanes and make abrupt lane changes when people are really unsuspecting of this, and certainly puts everyone in danger that's on the roadway. And the officers do seem as though they have backed off a little bit, Dave, but as you were mentioning, them staying close certainly warns drivers that are out there that something is coming up their way there.
Yeah. So it's they'll get to the point where they'll say, okay, if this driver is starting to just maintain a speed and is sticking to one lane, then maybe we can go ahead. I think you're just seeing a switch off here from LASO to the Chippies, and that's all part of that mutual aid that I was talking about earlier, and how the departments work with each other. in a situation like that.
Exactly. And I think it's probably also a benefit that the officers, I mean, to chase someone like this at this high rate of speed can be very intense. And I'm sure it's nice that, you know, the officers swap out and you get a fresh driver there that is now in pursuit of this carjacking suspect who has really been driving fast and in very dangerous manner. And so you've got a fresh officer now that is in pursuit.
Yeah, and you know, like we know with the chippies, they'll go from division from station to station, just up and down the state. So they're already, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the air unit's already broadcasting this to them via mutual aid about what's coming your way, and so they're setting up. And there's black and whites that are along the freeway. Some will get off and they'll just parallel the freeway if they can, but it looks like we're starting to slow down.
Yeah, and you always wonder what's causing the slowdown. Is there a mechanical problem with the truck? Is this driver finally having some second thoughts about this pursuit? Maybe running out of gas, maybe plotting out something. But I imagine for those officers, you're just really wondering what's going through the mind of this driver right now. How desperate are they?
Yeah, this is very interesting. You can see they're blocking the traffic behind the stop. But the way they're coasting, I mean, it almost makes you think that maybe they're getting real low on gas or they're running out of gas. But then he'll pick up the speed to, I don't know, guessing 30, 40 miles per hour and slow down a whole bunch. So maybe they are speaking to somebody who's saying, hey, you got to stop. You're just making a bad thing worse. You know, I mean, it's just the violations that this suspect has accumulated. Forget about the carjacking, everything that he's done or she has done since then, it's just getting worse and worse.
Yes, but it really does make you wonder what's happening here. If this is, you know, this driver deciding to slow down or the truck is making that determination for the driver, and just how desperate, if this person is in fact armed. We again don't know how they took this truck. We do know that it was a carjacking suspect, but as Dave Avila was saying, it could have been by force or by fear. So we don't know if a weapon was involved, but officers certainly have to approach this driver as if they are armed. Isn't that correct, Dave? Always think that they're armed?
Yeah, exactly, Amy. I mean, you're hoping for the best, but you are prepared for the worst. You're hoping, I mean, what they're hoping here is that the suspect will coast to the stop. They'll deploy around the suspect. They'll put out their commands, as we've seen before, mentioned before, you know, throw the keys out, that sort of thing, step out, hands up. But I just not really sure what's going on. I mean, it's just kind of this suspect just keeps coasting along here.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And unfortunately, the windows are just so dark, we can't see if there's anyone in the truck with the driver. We see the arms are out of the driver's side, and I'm trying to see if there's someone on the passenger side as well. But it does look like this driver is putting their arms out of the truck and also out of the passenger side, as though they are giving up at this point. Of course, looked like the passenger side just threw something out. Yeah. Did you see that, Dave? There on the right, I'm wondering, was that a gun, in your opinion? Is that what that looks like?
It does look like one. I can't be certain.
Yeah, but we're watching as the suspects are getting out. It appears to be a male driver and a female passenger. They have both gotten out. Something was, in fact, thrown out of that passenger side window. It was a black object. We do not know at this point if it is, in fact, a gun or something else. Could have been a cell phone, could have been a wallet, but it also could have been a gun. I'm sure we'll see soon whether or not that was, in fact, a weapon that was thrown out of the truck. But, you know, it's always good to see this, Dave, that a pursuit like this comes to an end without a crash, without anyone being injured. And that's certainly a good sign. We're watching as the female passenger continues to walk backwards towards those officers. It is now being told to get down on her knees and put her hands behind her head there.
Yeah, because preferably you want to have one suspect. You don't want them to come back together, and she just came back with them. So they told him to get down to your knees, freeze, just stay there. They're going to have an arrest team come up. They'll see if they get another officer up there and just take her into custody, but they'll have to search her. So she's talking. So he secured his weapon, doesn't want to lose while he's checking her, like they do in the movies. That always makes me laugh. But they'll cuff her up, check her for weapons, take her back. They'll preferably do one at a time. You usually want the driver first, but it didn't occur. So, I mean, you just got to go with what's happening.
And I was just going to ask you that, Dave, why they went towards the passenger first as opposed to the driver who was actually leading them on that pursuit. Do you think it perhaps is because whatever was thrown out of that window was thrown out of the passenger side, or just that this is just how it went today?
I think because she was the furthest back, and she, if you notice, he knew the program, but she didn't. You know, she just started walking back, and then she went to adjust her pants, and I thought,
yeah, that wasn't a smart move.
Do that. That was not a smart move, because what are you doing? Adjusting your pants, or are you pulling out a 9mm out of your waistband? And being law enforcement, like I said, you know, you hope for the best, but you are prepared for the worst, which is pretty obvious here.
Exactly.
So they're going to have this guy preferably stand up. We'll see. Maybe they may approach him and get an arrest team. But there's one officer giving directions. Okay, they're going to have him come back. Because remember, there's the four-door, the blacked-out window.
Yes.
You still don't know if there's some desperate individual in the back seat.
Exactly, exactly. It's always tricky when you can't see who is inside. Of course, we didn't know if there was just one person, the driver, or if there were passengers inside that four-door pickup truck. And again, we don't know if they were in fact armed or not, because we do know that this was a carjacking, but we don't know if this was by force or by fear. And so as we watch them take this driver into custody, we know that they will have to then go up and search that truck to see if anyone is inside that truck. You can't see because of those dark windows. And it will also be interesting to see exactly what was thrown out of that passenger side window just as they were stopping. And they're making their way up, Dave. We're watching as they are approaching that truck with those very dark windows to see if anyone is in that back seat. We were able to see into the bed of the truck. We knew no one was back there, but that back seat, of course, very tricky. And you can still see that black item there on the ground. It appears that the truck is clear. It looks like the Sky 9 was looking for that item. I thought it was the black item that was actually on the roadway a little to the right of the truck and a little bit ahead of it. But
yeah. So did I. Yeah.
That's right there.
You know, and the thing is, when you're on the ground, if you've seen it, you could put out, hey, the suspect, the passenger suspect just threw out a weapon. From the air unit, you could just say that the suspect threw out a black object. I cannot confirm if it's a weapon or not, unless you are perfect. If it's perfectly clear it's a weapon, then you say the suspect just threw out a weapon. But if not, then you say they threw out a black object. I can't tell you guys and gals, I can't tell you if it's a weapon or not.